Hey guys, and welcome into another video. Now today we're going to be doing my mock draft 4.0, easily my most fun mock draft that I've done so far. Free agency and everything has just made it so crazy. So many different picks. I've been able to not just make the same redundant picks. You're going to see a lot of crazy and different picks this draft. So please let me know in the comment section below what your team is and who you want them to select. I'm not some messiah. I don't know what the draft is going to be. This is just my personal opinion. But before you do that, please be sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. It means the world to me. And turn those notifications on so you never miss an upload. Of course, go ahead and use underdog code Sormani, SORMANI, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 on the Underdog Fantasy app or website. But we'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's get right into this mock draft. With the first pick in the 2022 draft, the Jaguars are selecting Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher out of Michigan. This pick pretty much has been sealed ever since the Jags went out and pretty much bolstered the offense as complete as they could. They signed some receivers. They got Brandon Sheriff, tagged Cam Robinson on the offensive line. So it wouldn't really make too much sense for them to go offensive line here. They could, but in reality, I didn't see any of the offensive line prospects being the best player in this draft class. But there is a world where Aiden Hutchinson is the best player in this draft class. We've seen the impact of guys like Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Josh Allen, these guys that are just absolutely menacing off the edge. And he's going to be able to pair with one of those guys in Josh Allen. And it's going to form a crazy duo. I think that the Jags are a team that can definitely turn things around next season and, perform very well, possibly a 500 level team. I think that's very possible for the Jaguars here with their first overall selection. Looking at the Detroit Lions, I have them going with Malik Willis. Now, if you've watched my mock drafts, I was not a fan of this most of the time. I kept saying there's no need for a quarterback. Jared Goff, give him some weapons, give him a chance kind of thing. But then I'm just starting to think about that offensive line, that offense, and, how far away the Lions are from competing. And I think Malik Willis would be the perfect pick here at number 2. You give the guy, he doesn't have to start right away because you have Goff. But this is a division that after this year I think is up for the taking. I don't think that this is a very solid division. If 2 years from now you told me the Lions have a stranglehold on the division, I wouldn't see a problem with that. You look at it, the Vikings have a lot of bit older and big contracts other than Justin Jefferson. Everyone else is kind of on the older side. Packers, Aaron Rodgers, they lost Devonte Adams, etc. Their contracts are a mess right now. And then the Bears just have no real identity. It just seems like they're in shambles. The Lions have a young core and at least some players like Hutchinson, Swift, Okudah, these guys that, a great offensive line where Malik Willis is going to be able to come behind them and, be the new franchise centerpiece of this team. And he provides you with everything that you need to turn a franchise around. Mobile, big arm, athletic. I mean, this guy is everything you'd want. I'd love for Malik Willis to go number 2. Pick number 3, I have Evan Neal out of Alabama, being the new right tackle for the Houston Texans. Having him and Laramie Tunsil on the same line is just awesome. If you're going to give Davis Mills the reins to this franchise, you might as well protect him as much as you can, and I think that is a perfect situation for the Texans. They could go with a guy like Travon Walker or Kayvon Thibodeaux here, but again, if you're giving Davis Mills the shot to be that franchise guy, you might as well protect him as good as you can. I think Evan Neal is going to be perfect because this is pretty much a boom or bust year for Davis Mills. It's whether he performs like he was at the end of last season or he performs like a third-round pick. This is a perfect pick because you can protect the next quarterback coming in, or you keep Evan Neal to protect Davis Mills, and I know Mills will be very happy with this. Looking at pick number 4, Sauce Gardner is going off the board from Cincinnati to the Big Apple for the New York Jets. This is a big selection here because the Jets have a ton of different needs that are very important. An edge rusher, anyone in the secondary. Offensive line they did pretty well at, and I think receiver they're decent at. They could look for somebody in those second rounds. Or, they've picked 10, there's somebody they can go there. But Sauce Gardner, I think, is the perfect selection here. You have Tyreek Hill in the division now, and this is a guy who is never allowed a touchdown in college, is one of the most lockdown corner prospects we've ever seen, just based on his production at Cincinnati. I think this is a perfect pick knowing what's in that division now and how much of a hole this secondary has been for the New York Jets. Loving Sauce Gardner here. At pick 5, the New York Giants take Ikem Ekwonu. This was a big selection here because with Carolina selecting next, they have a possibility of taking an offensive tackle. So knowing that Charles Cross and Ekwonu are on the board, if you don't have a preference on one or the other, or maybe you prefer one and you know that the Panthers like the guy that you don't necessarily have higher, maybe you take your selection here of, edge rusher, safety, whatever it may be, because you want to secure that pick, and then you could take whichever offensive tackle. But here I have them taking Ickey Ekwonu. I think that he is the best lineman in this class, production-wise. I think Evan Neal has the higher upside. But Ickey's going to be able to step in here right away, be that right tackle on this offensive line, alongside Glowinski on that right side, Feliciano in the middle, and then probably Lemieux and Thomas on the left side. I think it's going to be a very good offensive line compared to what we've seen past years from the Giants. This is a very big step in the right direction. Here at pick 8, switching it up, I have Kenny Pickett going off the board to Carolina. That's 2 quarterbacks in the top 10. And, yeah, Kenny Pickett, I think that the Panthers are going to be going for a home run pick here and get Kenny Pickett. Darnold, can he start? Yeah. He showed decent sides when they started off 4-0, 5-0, whatever it was last season. But other than that, it's kind of been a mess. I don't think he's as bad as people are saying, but I also don't think he's the future. So Kenny Pickett is going to be the pick here. And, this is a guy who players, scouts, everybody has said this guy is the most pro-ready player at the quarterback position. And I understand that. The gloves scare me, the hand size scare me, but I think this is a guy who can go in and just control an offense from day one. And I could be very wrong about this pick. I could be very wrong about Kenny Pickett if he goes out there and becomes one of the better quarterbacks. But even if he has that Teddy Bridgewater type of career with the gloves and everything, that's not a bad career to have. And I think that it could salvage this franchise a little bit. Then here at pick 7, the Giants are going to take the boomer bust prospect in Kayvon Thibodeaux. The reason I have Thibodeaux over Travon Walker still is I'm more on the boom side, but also this is a guy who is the number 1 recruit out of high school. He's been the number 1 overall pick for years, and now that we were finally here, people are giving every reason for him to slide down the boards. I think he has all the talent in the world. I think he has the highest ceiling in this draft because he genuinely can be on that Myles Garrett level. I really think the world of Kayvon Thibodeaux. So him falling to 7 here, I think is a perfect situation for the Giants. Pairing him alongside Azeez Ojulari with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence in the middle, that is a solid front 4. And then you have Blake Martinez right behind him to secure any tackles that get through. This is an awesome pick for them. They help out the offensive line. They help out the defensive line. Both of the trenches are looking a lot better now. And this is a team that, honestly, now with those 2 spots filled, there's not many holes left on this roster where this team can win a very weak NFC East. Going on to pick 8, Travon Walker out of Georgia is the pick. I have D lineman here because everyone sees him as an edge rusher, but really he played more on the interior. At Georgia, he wasn't really so much off the edge as much. I think he can play off the edge, but I think he'll be that D end in that 3-4. Do they run a 3-4 in Atlanta? I might be wrong about that, actually. But Grady Jarrett I think they run a 3-4, but Grady Jarrett, Marlon Davidson, Travon Walker, I think that those are very good players that you can go into. But, Grady Jarrett and Travon Walker are going to be the stars of this defense. Just absolutely controlling the defensive line and getting through, forcing run stops and sacks and everything in between. I really do like Travon Walker going here. He secured himself as a top 10 pick, in my opinion, with his scouting and his combine. Now at pick 9, I have the Seattle Seahawks going with Charles Cross. Kenny Pickett off the board. Malik Willis off the board. I think they're a prime candidate for Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo here. Because this is a team that still can compete. So I think that they will go after one of those guys. Probably not Garoppolo because in division, but I could see Baker being the starting quarterback here. But even without that, Dwayne Brown is old and he's a free agent still. And Charles Cross can go in and fill that role. He is arguably a top 5 prospect. I really do like Cross a lot in this draft class. And I'm just a really big fan of this. And I really think he'd fit so well in Seattle. The next selection here is going to be Kyle Hamilton to the New York Jets, doubling up on the secondary here for New York. Let me know what you think about it, New York fans, down below. Pretty much just how the board fell is why we're going here. Yeah, you could take a receiver here, but you're getting arguably the best player in this draft class to play at that safety role. I mean, yes, you have Jordan Whitehead. LaMarcus Joyner is back for 1 year. And Kyle Hamilton, you can pretty much move him anywhere on this defense, which is why I think it's a perfect fit because Joyner's not a long-term option. I think it's going to be him and Whitehead paired alongside each other here. Maybe you transition Joyner back over to a corner role to help out, or maybe you move Kyle Hamilton to a kind of a sub linebacker package, but put him in the box for the first year. There's a lot of versatility you can do, and Saleh will get the most out of him. But I think getting a guy like Hamilton and Sauce Gardner, you're getting arguably two of the best players in this draft class. You could say the two best players in this draft class based on production and physicality and just what they're able to do. But, a receiver could go off the board here. Offensive line could go off the board here. For me, I think that those are going to be more in the second round because you can't pass up on type of talent like this falling to 10. So Kyle Hamilton's the pick here for me. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy really quick. The NFL season's over, but you could still draft a new fantasy team on Underdog Fantasy and win cash prizes. They have a slick mobile app and a user-friendly site. You can also join a league and draft a team in minutes. Plus, the folks at Underdog are helping you guys out that are watching the video by matching up to $100 on your first deposit for new users when you use code SORMANI, SORMANI. So just go to UnderdogFantasy.com or go download the App Store or the Google Play Store. Sign up with the code SORMANI, that's SORMANI, and Underdog is going to match your first deposit all the way up into $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SORMANI, SORMANI. Now let's get back to this video. Here at pick 11, Derek Stingley Jr. is going off the board to Washington. This is a guy who is being over-criticized for his lack of production and his injuries. The injuries are really the worry for me. His production value, it dropped because no one was throwing the ball towards his side because of how great he was. He still made some great plays. There were some mistakes, but in reality, he still looks like that top-tier talent. And if Sauce Gardner wasn't in this class, I think Stingley would be talked about as a top 5 pick still to this day. But Sauce Gardner really has proven himself to be that top dude. But Stingley going to Washington, pairing with Kendall Fuller and Will Jackson, I think that's going to be awesome for him. He's going to be in a division with, very good receivers. You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Kenny Golladay, you have Devonta Smith. So he's going to be up for the task, but he doesn't have to be that number one right away. Kendall Fuller's going to be able to help him out with that. And I think he's going behind one of the best front sevens in the league as well, if not best front four at least. And so he's going to be able to help himself out by trusting his defensive line to create pressure and give him the ability to jump those routes. Going here to pick 12, Jordan Davis is the selection for Minnesota. Top 2 corners off the board, top safeties off the board. This is a selection where they were horrible against the run last year. They cut Michael Pierce because of it. You get now the biggest run-stuffing nose tackle in the draft. He's going to plug the middle, take it away. You pair him with Dalvin Tomlinson, who they signed last season, Danielle Hunter off the edge. I think this is a great selection for the Vikings here. Really, you just need somebody to plug that middle. Getting a Stingley or Gardner or Hamilton to fall to you would have been awesome, but this is not a bad consolation prize whatsoever, as Jordan Davis, I think, is going to be one of the best players out of this class. Here at pick 13 is Jermaine Johnson. So we get another, former Georgia player coming off the board here. It's crazy to see, he played behind Azeez Ojulari, transferred out to Florida State, and then you see, a lot of these Georgia players coming into this first round, and a Georgia transfer is also in the first round. It just shows how great of a defensive product they're able to push out. But Jermaine Johnson here out of Florida State went over there and just dominated. Then he went to the Senior Bowl, dominated. I mean, this guy has every tool that you'd want in an edge rusher. Just powerful speed. He can pretty much do everything. He's one of my favorite players in this class. I think that we should be talking about him a little bit higher, but this is a very strong edge rusher class to where Aiden Hutchinson, Thibodeaux, Travon Walker, him, you can't go wrong with any of those guys. I like them all. Jermaine Johnson's going here at pick 13 to the Texans, who still get their dominant edge rusher, even though they pass up on one at the beginning, and they have Evan Neal. Great selection here for the Houston Texans. Now here at pick 14, Devonte Wyatt going to the Baltimore Ravens, who, people argue is better than Jordan Davis. This is, again, that Georgia defense, man. But Devonte Wyatt is going to be able to plug the middle, like I said, on a defense that really has to regain its identity with Wink Martindale heading out. A lot of these older veteran guys are on their way out as well. They thought they were getting Zadarius Smith back. He ends up swapping out, going to Minnesota. So, Devonte Wyatt's really going to be able to help plug that middle and revitalize, I think, this front seven that could have done a lot more than it showed. I think Devonte Wyatt will really be able to help that out. Really like this pick. I think there's some other players that they could have went with if they had fallen here, but Wyatt is, again, not a bad consolation prize. The first of 2 picks for the Philadelphia Eagles, I have them selecting Trent MeDuffie, the corner defensive back out of Washington. He's a little bit undersized, as some say, at 5'10", but this guy does it all. He plays physical. He is going to attack the receiver. The ball carrier he's going to make a hit on. He plays the ball well. I mean, this is an all-around corner. If he was 2-3 inches taller, I think we'd be talking about him as one of the best corners in this class, above Stingley and Gardner. But MeDuffie, yeah, just an absolute beast of a player. You're pairing him alongside Darius Slay, who is one of the best veteran corners still in the game. So he's going to be able to learn a lot and produce very well for this Philadelphia defense, and I think this is a perfect pick. Here at pick 16, we finally have a receiver come off the board, and it's going to be Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Yes, the first receiver off the board is the other Ohio State receiver. I love Olave. I really do think with his combine and his pro day and everything that's going on with his offseason, he has bolstered his stock more than ever. He was a fringe first rounder when I started off, looking into these prospects. Now he's my first receiver off the board. His route running is incredibly crisp. He has some of the best speed in this class, as we saw at the combine. This is just an all-around good receiver, and when you pair him alongside Alabama product and Devonte Smith, who is also one of the best route-running receivers, but also a great deep threat, I think you're going to have a crazy 1-2 punch for Jalen Hurts to throw the ball to, as well as a great backfield with Gainwell and Sanders on an offensive line that is just phenomenal. Philly Goddard is there as well. This is an awesome and fun offense to watch. I can't wait to see if this is the case. I can't wait to see what they do. It's going to be exciting. Pick 17 for the Los Angeles Chargers is going to be Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. Rashawn Slater was a hit out of the park. Trevor Penning, I think, is going to be a hit out of the park. Now you have 2 of the best young tackles in football. I think that's going to be perfect for a young guy like Justin Herbert. So now you have the quarterback and the tackle positions both on rookie contracts, as you're paying Mike Williams and J.C. Jackson and everybody else the money you can to make the Super Bowl run. And they need to be the best team in this crazy, insanely good division. Raiders are right there with them. Broncos and Chiefs are not far behind them. Can this move be the thing to get them over the hump? We'd have to wait and see. Here at pick 18, I have the Saints selecting Garrett Wilson. So both Ohio State receivers are off the board. And, yeah, he's just another guy who can pretty much do everything. He's got insane vertical. He's going to be able to go up and get the ball. Michael Thomas has got extended, so he's going to be there for a while. So pairing him with Garrett Wilson, Jameis Winston, you know how much he loves to air the ball out. I think it's a perfect selection for them to get a guy like Garrett Wilson here who can just go up, get the ball, and pretty much do everything. He's an all-around wide receiver prospect. Some people's number one. My number one ranked, just not number one taken in this draft, but really do love his fit here for Jameis Winston in New Orleans. Last, Philly, you knew I was going to give you a linebacker. There's no way that you're not taking one this year. Devin Lloyd is the selection. I think the best linebacker in this class. Not by a lot, but just by a little. Yeah, this team needs a linebacker help bad. It's needed it for years, and they're finally getting it. Devin Lloyd from Utah. There's not much more I have to say. Philly, you got yourself as a linebacker. A corner, and a wide receiver. Philly fans should be very happy with that. Here at pick 20, a guy who I think is a fringe top 10 prospect in Zion Johnson out of Boston College, one of the best guard prospects in this class, can also play that center role if they want to move him there. The Steelers just need offensive line help. They rebuilt this offensive line, and there were some flashes of young talent last year, but they could do a lot more, and adding Zion Johnson here I think is going to do a lot to protect Mitchell Trubisky and this offense. Najee Harris in the backfield as well. He's powerful, he's quick, he's agile. There's pretty much everything on the football field he can do, and he puts in the work. He wants to learn more. He wants to do more. I think that Mike Tomlin is going to fall in love with a prospect like Zion Johnson. Here at pick 21, I have the Patriots selecting wide receiver Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Yes, Watson stepping ahead of guys like Treylon Burks and Jameson Williams and others. The reason why I think this is a perfect Belichick pick. Belichick's not always the consensus top pick. You know, he likes to go around the edge, and you see what Watson's able to do. His route running is crisp. His speed is, some of the best in this wide receiver group. He has the height. He has the natural ability to go up and get the ball. He pretty much is an all-around prospect out of North Dakota State. So there's no reason for him not to be at a selection like this. So to be that number one receiver for New England, I think this is a perfect selection for both Watson and Bill Belichick's Patriots. Pick 22, I have the Packers selecting George Karlaftis out of Purdue. They lost to Darius Smith. They need to replace that edge help. They need help off that edge, and Karlaftis is going to be one of the best in this class with how powerful he is, especially when you have guys like Kenny Clark and Preston Smith on the outside. I think you're able to use Karlaftis on the other side and really create that powerful pass rush. Keep this defense as good as it can be, because this is a team that needs to continue to compete, even though they lost Devonte Adams. This has been a crazy offseason, but Karlaftis is one of the pieces that is going to help them go here. So with that Raiders pick, they're going to take George Karlaftis. Pick 23, corner is a big need for the Cardinals. Marco Wilson was not as promising of a rookie as they'd hoped. Byron Murphy's still very good, but they need something else. So Andrew Booth is going to step in and be that number 2, possibly number 1 for the Cardinals. Edge rusher is also another thing they could look at here. Boye Mafe, Arnold Ebiketie, other guys, but this is too easy of a pick. You need to protect that secondary. Wouldn't surprise me if Nakobe Dean is the pick, because we know how Steve Keim is with linebackers, but Andrew Booth is going to be my selection. Now for the Dallas Cowboys, they strike gold and get the best center prospect in the draft, and that is Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. Tyler Biadasz can either move to guard or maybe move Linderbaum to guard, but Biadasz didn't really do too well last year for the Cowboys, but this offensive line needs a little bit of help. Zach Martin and Tyron Smith are really the only two staples there. Terrence Steele is probably going to be that right tackle spot. You have Linderbaum there, but they lost Connor Williams. They need some offensive line help, because that is the identity of this team and what has kept them together. It's kept Dak upright. It's given him time. It's given CD time. It's given Zeke, the ability to get wide open holes to run through. They need to continue that. Tyler Linderbaum is going to help that so much. So I love the pick here for the Dallas Cowboys. At pick 25, Drake London comes off the board for the Buffalo Bills. This is a team that, with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, that's pretty much it. Jake Kumaro is their next guy on the depth chart as of now, with Emmanuel Sanders still being a free agent. They cut Cole Beasley. So I think they need another receiver, and that's just going to make this offense even more dynamic. There's not really a corner or a defensive lineman that I'm in love with here, so I think that why not take the next best position of need, and a position that really has a lot of talent still left in it at the receiver spot. So Drake London's the selection here. He'll go in, he'll be that number 2, number 3 receiver, and just make life so much easier for Josh Allen in this offense. Really like Drake London here to the Buffalo Bills. At pick 26, the Tennessee Titans select Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. He's moved up and down boards. He is a polarizing prospect. Really, I don't know where to keep him. I like him in this range, though. He can be a very talented prospect, or he can be that Devontae Parker type, where he has a flash and then he doesn't have a flash, and he has a flash and doesn't have a flash. So it's very odd, but I think Treylon Burks will be successful when he's behind A.J. Brown and Robert Woods in Tennessee. Tannehill's a very smart quarterback most of the time. Obviously, the playoffs was a little bit different. He's going to be able to get Treylon Burks the ball where he needs it, and I think that he's going to have a lot of success going to an offense like Tennessee. At pick 27, Daxton Hill is going to be the selection. They lose Jordan Whitehead to free agency. The Jets scooped him up. Replace him with Daxton Hill out of Michigan, who is one of the fastest players in this class, and form another young dynamic safety duo between him and Antoine Winfield. And the Bucs are just going to be the Bucs, man. I know that they took Logan Ryan and got him, but Logan Ryan worked with McKinney and Peppers there as well. I think Ryan can transition kind of anywhere on that defense and just be a leader. So Daxton Hill is going to be able to step in and have an awesome rookie year, in my opinion. He doesn't have to play as much as you need him to, because you have Logan Ryan and Winfield, and you're able to do different packages, but Daxton's going to be able to fill that secondary, the whole entire field, because of his top line speed. Really like this pick for the Bucs. At pick 28, I have the Packers selecting Jameson Williams. Could have been the number 1 receiver. The injury hurt him a little bit, but not enough to make him fall out of the first round. But I really do like Jameson Williams here. The Packers do need a receiver. There's not much more to it. Get Aaron Rodgers another weapon. This is hopefully his Davante Adams replacement, and you hope that Jameson is ready for the start of the season. Will he be? That is up for debate and a big question mark, but Aaron Rodgers has done crazier things. I think this is a great pick for the Packers. The Chiefs, with their back-to-back picks, start off at pick 29 with Nakobe Dean. Best player available, in my opinion. Linebacker is a spot where they could use some help. They had some very shining potential in Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. So add another guy like Nakobe Dean who really can play inside, outside. He can really do it all at that linebacker position and just add to this defense. A little bit undersized, but this is a team that just can take talent and take it to the next level. So another Georgia player off the board, and he's going to Kansas City. Then another Georgia's player is going right off the board here at pick 30, and that is George Pickens out of Georgia. Could have been another top receiver if not for his injury this year, but he came back in the playoffs and showed why he is one of those best players in this draft class at the receiver position. The Chiefs need more help at that position. Valdez-Scantling and Juju are not going to fill that Tyreek Hill hole, and George Pickens can. I think he is all the potential in the world as long as he can stay healthy. I can't wait to see what he could do with a guy like Mahomes throwing him the ball. Kansas City could do a lot of different things here. They can take a corner. Maybe they have Kyler Gordon or Elam or McCreary or somebody like that ranked pretty high. Maybe they take a safety like a Lewis Seen, but I think Pickens is the best spot here. At pick 31, Bernhard Raimann out of Central Michigan. Bengals added the offensive line. They did so much in this offseason. They got La'el Collins. They have Jonah Williams. They signed some other guys. They have young guys, but just add to this offensive line even more. La'el's played inside and outside. Jonah's played inside and outside. Bernhard can pretty much play wherever you need him to. He is learning the position still, so I don't think it'll be too much for him to learn a different position. He's done it already. But yeah, just taking more offensive line help and protecting Joe Burrow. I think with this pick, if it pans out, even if he is just a subpar starting offensive guard in the NFL, I think that this line is completed. At pick 32, we are going to be selecting Kenyon Green, the right guard out of Texas A&M. I love this selection for the Lions because there's not really a receiver I love here. There's not really a safety I love here, and those are really the two positions I'm looking at the most. Maybe an edge rusher like a Boye Mafe, but they are picking again in 2 picks. Kenyon Green, though, fills this offensive line. He's one of the best offensive line prospects in this class. He's fallen a little bit, but I still think he has all the talent in the world. And you look at it now, they have Taylor Decker, they have Jonah. No, it's not Jonah Williams. Jonah Jackson at left guard, Frank Ragnow at center, Kenyon Green at right guard, and Penei Sewell at right tackle. That is one of the best offensive lines, probably draft-wise, in NFL history. But on the field, we'll have to see how good it does. But that is going to be one of the best offensive lines in football, protecting for a young quarterback in Malik Willis with DeAndre Swift and Hutchinson and et cetera, DJ Chark. Offense is going to be awesome to see, and they still have some more picks in this draft. I would love to see them complete the offensive line with Kenyon Green at pick 32. That is going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy the mock draft. I mean, this is getting crazy. The draft is next month. It's coming up soon. So, again, appreciate you guys for sticking with me through this little break that I had to take, unfortunately, because of the internet. But we're back. We're going to be doing videos. Look out for 7-round mock drafts for your team. Whatever your team is, we're going to try and cover them all throughout the rest of this up until the draft day. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you are new. If you didn't, just refresh that page and let me know what you think about it the second time. Because without further ado, that's going to be it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
How you talking 50K, how you talking making plays or just talking, yeah. I knew this here on my own time. Time is money, so I did it on my own dime. Word to Bookie, yeah, this homage gave me game. Yeah, he taught me family ties, quick to back there off me. Nah, I can't wait for you.